the features that will come out with so in a week or two as things are getting wrapped up we made some updates to the search page. So there were two different search pages, one that is on the level of the group and one that is kind of like global, and they had some differences and now they're more similar. So Andrea will show that off. Then we've added support for our studio in these code-based environments with the build packs. Salim worked on that. He can hope he can show that off if there's a chance if he wants to. Awesome. Okay, then Ike worked on being able to track resource usage from different for different sessions, and he'll have something to show. And then Shekar worked on exploring how we can integrate with runAI. Then Mohammed worked on unifying the logging format between different services and adding, but even more importantly, adding some additional information that can help with debugging. He also added some additional, he made some improvements to some other, to some endpoints about data usage, and that's in one of the other notes that'll be in 2.16 further down. And then Flora worked on support for improving support for data connectors that need OAuth credentials. So we can just kind of go in this list. I don't know, I can, so we'll just go through this list. I don't know if you want me to go through all of them because you're going to hear more than just the one sentence I'm saying now, which is more interesting. Yeah, Andrea, do you want to start with the search page?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, stop sharing.
Thank you.
I guess I don't know, for the people on the call, are there any questions about what you've heard so far? Or if at any point there's questions, just feel free to interrupt.
Okay. Okay. Yep. As mentioned, this feature is about unifying our resources pages that at the moment looks a little bit inconsistent, and the user page shows limited information and has no search, while the group page does. And this thing also vary between cards that we use in the search page, while in group search we use lists. So yeah, here we unified. So at the moment we have in groups we have this search that works using the namespace of the groups to list projects, data, and all this filtering. This is something that is already working and or released. But what is new is that the user can now also find in any user search more deep and use any of those filters, same for projects, data. And the global search, that is this one that is here on top, will include the same filters, but now it can also search for some other users or other groups, and you have other filter types here. For example, the creation date will be something quite new for searching under the namespace of groups or users, and the rest is still working as it is. When we're searching for users, we can also find here kind of quick information about how many projects, how many data has a user or a group at the moment. So this is like the general thing, and there is a little improvements that will also help with the experience. And it's like, for example, when groups has a long list of users and we don't want to display all or make it more prominent when it's not necessary. So we will have this, here with this view is not so clear, but we will be able to see what other users belongs to that group. So yep, that's all on the use page. Any questions? If not, That's all.
Andrea?
Yes? Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, can I hear properly?
Okay, and next we have R&R Studios.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. So, can you see my screen? Okay, so the idea was if we have some repositories like with the environment-based Docker images that we have right now, we could have a log file such as one used by RN.
Could you zoom in on your terminal a bit? Could you make a terminal a bit bigger? Yeah, great, thanks.
Like that?
Yeah.
A bit better. Okay, so we can see we have some stuff such as the R version and some packages that are set. And I will not show actually building the image right now because it takes a while, but I can show this. And this is once it's built and once the session is started, which is basically this one. It will use whatever is in the RN and actually make everything within the Renku session work, such as if we source the one of the files that uses some dependencies, it works straight out of the box. So now if we actually install something, so let's say we actually wanted to add maybe and obviously. So within the session, it can be installed and it can survive restarts the same way as pip installing something inside the session in our other custom built environment will work. And while this does happen, I can show that it also works with bioconductor based stuff because we are lucky and RN does support bioconductor. So here we have some stuff with bioconductor packages and stuff. And okay, oh, well, it's installed. So if I just works, it's there, good. And if we look at the bioconductor one, we have some stuff. It's not the correct one. Wait. Okay.
I think it may remember the open files or something like that.
Okay, so this one is the one with bioconductor, which you can see in the terminal that it's the same rnf.log file. And here we're using dissect2, which is a bioconductor package. And if we just it's there, it works. And Bike Manager is already installed here. And well, RN should track the changes. So maybe you want me to show you that the package ABC that we just installed actually does survive a restart. So let's kill this session. And restart it. Okay. And which one is this one? It's the correct one. No. So it's the connector. Ah, come on. Yeah, this one. So we can try. And we can see that it's here, it survived the restarts, and everything should work. Okay, so that's it on my side. Any question?
Thanks, Salim. I just want to add that, so this will be, when this is released, it'll be when you go in Renku and you create and you select the build from code option, you'll have an R. Right now, there's only Python. There'll be an R option in the language or whatever. And then when you select R, there'll be an option in the UI to do RStudio, which is so you'll get this experience without. You don't have to go to your terminal. This is just Salim was just that was just part of the demo, the terminal.
Yeah.
But you'll get the same functionality as exactly what Salim showed.
Just one quick note. Currently, R is only supported with RStudio, and RStudio is only supported with R. But yeah, that might change if there's some requests in the future.
And you have to use renv to specify your R packages, because we look at what files you have, and you need to have this renv lock file that defines your packages. But using renv is not too it's not too hard, and it will lock the versions of the packages that you are using so that you have more, I don't know, reproducibility between different like reruns, or if you share it, it should be more stable. So.
Yeah, and the R version that's installed is the one that will be installed, that is set in the renv. So you get that too.
Okay, thanks, Salim. If there's no questions, I
mean, I have a question.
Go for it. Okay.
How many things did you have to sacrifice in the R?
So currently, what I sacrificed the most is the time to build an image.
Okay.
Because we're using the image extension in build packs, which basically extend the base images. And this takes a while to build. So this is the sacrifice right now. There was a solution that was much faster, but felt a lot more hacky. So we decided to go with that. We'll discuss if there's a need of optimizing or something, but for now we go with that.
Okay, and this basically gave you the freedom to kind of set up all the dependencies as you needed because it's a whole separate image, right? The extension.
Yes.
Image extension.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, Salim.
Okay, next we have resource usage limits that I can work on. So this is also just something that is mostly on the back end, but we'll continue working on this, and there'll be in the coming builds, there'll be impact that will be visible.
Exactly. So currently it's not visible to the user. There's no user-facing component of this. And it's currently meant to track data and to see how we can make use of it. So yeah, the main idea is to track all resources that are requested by a session. And we are doing it by periodically dumping all resource requests in a database table, basically. Oh no. My computer just increased. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I? Well, maybe this is enough for the.
It's okay, you can just talk about whatever we see, don't worry.
Yeah, so that's a thing. Anyways, I mean, yeah, so the first part of this document shows we can put limits on a resource pool. And this number is some sort of virtual cost. And we can put a cost on a resource class. And then this tracking, which is being done, is tracking like how much time a resource class has been used. And then at the end, the cost that is calculated is like multiplying this by the cost of that resource class times the time it's running on. Yes, and then I would have to show you that we can query this data. So there's been a usage endpoint and gives you your own usage, like how much time you spend in that resource pool and the overall time of the whole resource pool, everyone combined, and the limits. And the next step would be perhaps comparing that and maybe not starting a session if the limits are exceeded. And of course, then it's also possible for a user to just observe how many resources they've been using so far or how much resource pool is being utilized to get some idea. Yeah, so only there are functions to add costs and to query the usage.
Yeah, I mean, the main goal is to essentially provide some caps on spending for resource pools where the compute is more expensive, so that we can have some predictable costs for them.
Yeah,
in the future.
Yeah, and maybe like one notice the host has to be like the tool currently is not like the admin has to sort of how to say estimate the cost of the class based on all its components. If it has a GPU, how many CPU, so it has to kind of estimate a value that makes sense. Currently. Yeah.
So it's an arbitrary value.
It's an arbitrary value. You could put any number and then calculate some costs, primary costs, or you can make it more one-to-one mapping. That's basically not up to the user currently. Yeah. Yeah, that's already all. And my computer doesn't want to go further.
It ran out of compute.
It is Friday.
It's Friday. Really far over the limit.
Okay.
So yeah, I am going to present the runAI exploration build, which is an exploration. So it's going to have a similar flavor to what Salim showed. This isn't yet ready for users to use, but it just was our attempt to kind of get an understanding of how we could potentially support runAI. For those of you who don't know what runAI is, it's like an orchestration layer for managing cluster resources. And the idea is that it would make sense for Renku to make it possible to run sessions on a cluster that's managed by runAI, similar to the way that we handle CSCS, where you can run sessions on CSCS. So not using the Azure resources that are the same resources that the Renku Lab instance is hosted on, but using resources that are available somewhere else. So let's minimize this thing so let's see a bit better. Right, so I have created, this is a, okay, you see it here. This is a PR that I have with some stuff that I've been building, like made available in here. So I've added here a resource pool, which is a runAI resource pool. I think the main thing to look at is this line here, that there is a remote, resource available that's accessible under this URL, like SDSC, runAI, and this is a runAI resource pool. So let me do something here. Okay, so again, this isn't the way we expect users to interact with it, but it's just kind of demonstrating that stuff is fundamentally working. And at this point, it's more a matter of polishing and getting certain things connected. But I'm going to show you that I will be able to start a session on a runAI cluster. So right now, I don't have anything running on runAI, and I'm going to launch this. And then we have to wait a little bit. It has to fire some stuff up. But very soon, you will start. Like it has to get to, oops. Has to take a bit of time before, like at this point, it's still kind of doing Renku internal stuff. And once we are at, like at this point, it's now kind of starting things up on AI. But there's always a delay between when it gets started here and when it's actually visible in runAI. So right, nothing there yet. Okay, oh, that came pretty quick. Oh, this is weird. It's not there, huh? Okay. Worked a little while ago. Something, demo effect. No, I've got something running there. Okay, I have a workload running here. This is in the runAI UI, so it did.
Hannes has some info for.
Oh, is that the case? Yeah, okay. runAI experts. There it is. Yeah, thank you. So, right. So now I have some runAI resources, like I have like a virtual machine or whatever exactly it is there, a pod, I guess technically, available on runAI. And what I can do is the UI right now, the Renku Lab UI doesn't connect to it yet. That's still one of the pieces that we're sorting out. But I can make it available locally, and I'll just go back to here. So if I connect to localhost, it's the right thing. Oh, yeah, it's got
Flash lab at the end.
Is that what's missing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So okay. So this is you know a Jupyter Lab session that's running on runAI resources that I'm connected to remotely, in this case from my computer. But the next step is that it should appear here. We just have to get the port forwarding kind of like doing what I'm doing on my computer right now. Right. Oh, and I guess the other thing interesting to see is, so I have this thing running there. I'm going to kill the session and it will shut it down and run AI and disappear. This usually also takes a little bit of time before it appears. So it's gone on Renku and still here on runAI, but it will eventually disappear. So it's slow. Kind of just like without notice, just kind of disappears. But yeah, it takes a bit of time.
So Johannes has a question about pausing. Can the sessions be paused with normal, like normal Renku sessions?
I don't know. I haven't looked into that yet. Maybe you know if there's some runAI limitation on pausing. Oh, okay, yeah. So now that's gone, by the way, session's gone. I haven't investigated that part yet.
You can speak up, Johannes, if you want to respond. Yeah.
Sure. So I don't think we have a feature like this right now. So you can suspend sessions, but then your state is going to be gone, and it gives you like a new container.
Okay.
So that seems like a kind of big difference to
the volume. There's no volume attached to it that stays.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, then that's not going to be different when run through Renku. We can't work around that. Yeah, so that very good question. Any other questions? Okay, then
Okay.
Next.
Yeah, we have some of the changes to the logging format. If Mohammed wants to talk a bit about this.
Yes, sure. So what I did in this build was to connect different events that happen in various Renku services to a request when a request comes in. And if something goes wrong, then we can have these events connected together. We can better debug this. Right now, we don't have this feature. And if something goes wrong, we don't know what happened to this request that came to this point. So here I have a deployment that I modified. It's one of the endpoints to raise an exception. And in this window, I have logs from the data service, and this other one, I have logs from the gateway. And yeah, so if I send a request to this endpoint, it just raises an exception. And the trace ID is displayed here. So it also will be shown in the UI. And then when you report a bug, you can also include this trace ID. As you can see here, it ends with FBF, which is the same value that is reported in the logs everywhere, here and also here. And we also see the same thing in the Sentry UI.
Nice. So yeah, so this will not have a big impact on users other than when you get an error, you will see the message will include this additional information that can really help us troubleshoot and understand what happened, because sometimes it can be hard to connect the error that you saw to all the different distributed. There's not that many distributed services, but there's a few, and it can be hard to trace its path through, 2 or 3 distributed services. So this helps us a lot with that.
Yes, exactly. And as you can see here, also in Sentry UI, we have the same trace ID. So basically what we do is to create a trace ID when a request reaches Renku, and then we use this trace ID in every log. And also we make Sentry to use this trace ID when it reports error or performance monitoring events. And basically that's it. I also changed the logging format in some services to be in JSON so that it's more machine friendly. And I'm working on some other components that don't have this at the moment to add the same feature to other components.
Very awesome. Thanks, Mohammed.
Yeah,
Next
sure.
is, I think, Flora with the data connectors.
Hey, so this has a terrible name, but essentially this is allowing people to use Dropbox and Google Drive as data connectors in Renku sessions. So I'll show here with an example. So this makes it very simple to connect to your own Google Drive or to your own Dropbox. So we'll see here, I'll do add a new data connector. I click more, I click Dropbox. At the top here, it says, oh, you need to activate the Dropbox Renku integration. So we'll have to do that. It didn't show the login prompt because I'm already logged in, but it should show that that Renku wants to use Dropbox. So now we can go back here, and we have to do these steps again. That's only the first time. So here it says it will use the integration with Dropbox. We don't have to fill in anything else. We just want access to our Dropbox. We can put in here Dropbox, and we want read write. Okay. And that means now if I restart this session, I should have access to the files I have in my Dropbox, and I can even write new files, and we will see that once the session is running. The process is very similar with Google. You have to also use the Google integration. It's very similar. You click, it will tell you that Renku wants to access your files. I mean, if you want to have so that we can mount them in the sessions. Okay, this should be running in a couple of seconds. And then I have open here, it's my my Dropbox space, and so we will see that we can view these files, and I can even create sure. I preview. I save this file, and if I look here, okay, so it's empty. Oh no, it's here. So if I open it, the file has synced to Dropbox, and it's it's exactly the same as Google Drive. So you can use this if you have kind of some small data files or things like that you want to share, or that you want to use in a Renku session. It's a bit easy to have them in your Renku session, just like we already did with things like Polybox. Yes, any question?
Maybe just to add that we can use then this functionality more broadly too, right? We're already in touch with Switch to get client credentials to have OAuth for Switch Drive, for example. Maybe we can do something similar with Polybox as well, because all like the Nextcloud and OnCloud systems have also the OAuth option, and then people don't have to like copy paste tokens around.
Oh, so we will have an additional integration for Switch specific.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. Thank you, Flora.
Next is Lorenzo.
Yep.
And yeah, Lorenzo and I worked on being able to export data from Renku into Zenodo. And this is not this is not 100% complete, but a lot of the flow will be unchanged from what you see now.
Yeah, thank you, Tasco. Yeah, so exactly. So the goal here is to implement the first way of exporting data. So the first platform we focused on is Zenodo, but we have plans for extending the support to NVDATA and potentially other platforms. So yeah, you already know that we don't really store data in Renku, but generally speaking, you create projects and then you attach data connectors if you want to use them in your sessions. So some users might, run models and create interesting stuff. And once they are happy with the data that they created, they might want to export it to one of those platforms when you get stable references. So we slightly changed the visualization also of data connectors so that you have the menu here. And now, depending on the type of data connector, you might be able to export data. So this one, yes, so this one is on S3. So if I click on export data, then I get this model when I'm asked a few details. As I mentioned, here we have only Zenodo. I think I'm already connected, but if I were not connected to the integration, then I will get a warning. So I will need to connect my account here. So perhaps I can open it as well. So we can briefly check that I'm connected and I don't have any deposition started here. So let's go back to Renku lab. And let's pick this data connector for a quick demo. So I click on the export data. I give it a name like demo. What time is it? 1541. Then the folder doesn't really matter for this demo. And then I click on start data export. So that's already in progress. In this deployment, it will stay in progress forever. But ideally, this is gonna change and will be completed at some point. And you will get all the information also here. There will be a way for getting logs. Now it's not fully implemented, but the interface is similar to the logs you get for sessions. And here I have a reference to the upload that has just been created. So I can go here. Yeah, here we go. So I think I already opened this, so it should show up also here. All right, perfect. So this is the demo that we just created. I think I didn't set up any files, so yeah, there are no files here, but it doesn't matter. So this is convenient if you, especially if you are trying to upload a lot of files. So the job is gonna take care of that for you, and then you will have the file readily available here. You still need to go through all this very long list of metadata that you need to enter for publishing data. But you don't need to find a way to, bring the files here. Yeah, I mean, nothing special here. The other action is delete, and we can actually do that, but this is gonna delete the job locally, so you won't see any reference anymore, but it's not gonna delete your draft deposit on Zenodo.
You actually just upload the whole genome in a bottle?
No.
Okay.
The upload job is not implemented.
Okay.
Like it's not connected.
I got it.
Yeah, you cannot do that on, already published data or stuff like that. So this is important on Zenodo, so there is no button for re-exporting some of the content. It doesn't make a lot of sense, actually.
But yeah, there's a question, actually, the same question I was going to ask next, which is, can we also push metadata to the deposit if we have it already?
So I guess there are two aspects of it. So one is technical, and I will let Pascal answer to that. But the question is also what metadata exactly, because here currently we don't really have a way for letting users specify metadata on the data connector. So and the Zenodo interface really requires a bunch of stuff. So is the author is there?
We have keywords, author. In some cases, we have the author's ORCID ID. They have one connected. So we have some metadata already, right? Like the keywords on the data connectors.
The keywords
are exactly the same. So we could do that potentially.
We can add that. Currently, there's no support. And I don't know how. I think Zenodo may be very picky about how you do authors and some other metadata. They may not have in the same format, or getting it into the format that Zenodo wants may be very complicated. And that's why also we try to just get you set up, and the idea is that when you finish, you go to Zenodo and publish the data set yourself. We don't delete it for you. I mean, we can change that. We could delete it for you if you want. It's just seemed safer to let you manage stuff like big moves like that. You go to the Zenodo whatever portal and finish things up.
Alan, feel free to speak up. I was just curious what kind of data would be useful to send over in your view? Okay. In open space. Okay, no worries. But I think it's a good question. I think in the first implementation we chose to kind of keep it pretty minimal.
Yeah.
And when we get some usage of this, we'll see
It's literally just the title for now, but we can simple things like description, keywords, those are gonna be easy to.
Yeah, I think that would already go a long way, actually. Cool, thanks. Yep.
And then we also have Wes working on being able to schedule and reserve different computing capacities for on Renku. This is also a very it's a fairly admin centric functionality. So
I'll just show this really quickly. Yes, the problem is that when we have a high demand or a sudden high demand of usage on the platform, it can take a while for the autoscale to kick in or for the nodes to be provisioned, especially if they're GPU nodes. It can take upwards of 10 minutes, which is not great. And the idea is to scale the cluster up before an event starts. So we schedule these placeholder pods, which have a low priority ahead of time. That time is configurable. These placeholder pods being scheduled on the Kubernetes cluster means that the nodes scale up early. When users actually come to log in and create sessions, then the placeholders are just evicted straight away. So that's the benefit to that. There's a couple of ways that this can work. There's a few modes we have here, so we can either keep capacity constant. So we say, okay, there's 60 slots. We call them, well, I've called them warm slots because I think it makes more sense than slots. Where we say, okay, there's constantly 60 warm slots, whether they're occupied or not. So that would be good for a hackathon, for example. So across the 3-hour period, for example, you've got 60 sessions, 60 spots always available. There's a reduce mode where you can say, okay, this is a course, for example, and we're going to be using Renku throughout. So any excess usage that isn't being, or any excess usage can be gradually reduced over time. And then there's the other mode, the last one, which is none, which basically means that if you want 60 placeholders for 3 hours, you'll have 60 placeholders for 3 hours, regardless of how many people log in or sign out or whatever. And we can kind of configure this by resource class ID. So we say it can tell, you identify courses or occurrences based on resource class ID. You can set schedules. They can be quite complex, I would say. You say how many placeholders you need or how many warm slots you need. You can set how early you want the warm up to start, and then the scale down mode, which I showed before. So I'll just show a little demo. We've got this is a Renku deployment. We've got we've got 5 maintain nodes. We've got 5 none modes, and we've got 2 reduce modes. All of these, so that's 3 capacity reservations essentially. They all started on 5. This reduced one has already gone down to 2 because it's starting to get towards the end of its lifespan. I can go on to Renku now, and I can go and find the maintain one. So what happens is when I launch a session here, this is going to use the same resource class as the one used for the maintain capacity reservation, and it should basically pop one of these placeholder pods out and allow my session to be scheduled. So there's my session up here, and then in less than 30 seconds, the one of the maintain pods should be removed. There we go. popped off. So there's 1 in, 1 out. We've only got 4 maintained pods now, and we've got the slot opened up for my session now. This is just at the moment, this is only configurable through the admin, well, through the API, through the Swagger page. You can, it's quite basic. You can create capacity reservation. You can and you can list them, and you can delete one. So it's quite basic in that, but it's yeah, as Tasco said, it's really there to help us with the back end and admin and stuff. Yeah, that's it. Any questions? Okay, great.
I just want to ask, like, I mean, the start time can then, so that means when we roll this out and when someone reports their workshop or class, that means their wait time can be cut down from what to what? Probably from what, 10 minutes, in really bad cases, it can be 10 minutes. And with this, it'll be just a few, like,
Yeah, I'd say it could be, yeah, I'd say the worst is, I mean, it can definitely be worse because it sort of gets worse. The more people there are, the worse it gets. So there are times where there's courses we can see where it takes 20 minutes sometimes for everyone to get stuff going, especially if it's something sort of GPU heavy. Yeah, this should be able to reduce it massively.
And does this already include the option to, I didn't see in the API, but does this include the option to specify which image is used? So
no, not yet. That is something that's probably, I guess, the first enhancements we made to this really is that we can pre-pull the image onto use a specified image as the placeholder pod, so that the image is already cached on the node. Yeah, and that should again really quite drastically reduce the startup times. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, this is awesome. This is gonna make a huge difference, actually. Really nice. Thanks, Wes.
Yep.
Those are all.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I included the link to the page with all the features for those who are joining externally. If you want to have a look at what was done, and yeah, we will release these probably in the next, at least some batch of this in the next week or two.
Yeah. I think the capacity reservations is may even come out. There's a further in the page, there's a release schedule, but the capacity reservations may come out even earlier. So anyhow, yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
All right.
And have a nice rest of the afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm already